Sometimes a piece of clothing looks perfectly fine, fits well, and still feels wrong the moment you put it on. You adjust it, blame the cut, the size, even yourself, but the discomfort doesn't go away. Very often, the real reason isn't the design at all, but the fabric itself and how it interacts with your body. Some materials quietly support comfort throughout the day, while others create tension, heat, or irritation without you noticing right away. Today we'll look at everyday clothing fabrics and why some of them feel easy to live in, and others slowly make your clothes feel exhausting. Cotton, when basic, isn't always comfortable. Cotton is usually the first fabric people trust. It sounds safe, natural, breathable, and familiar. And sometimes it really is. A good cotton t-shirt can feel calm on the skin, easy to wear all day, and almost invisible once you forget you're wearing it. But the problem is that not all cotton behaves the same way, even if the label simply says 100% cotton. A lot depends on how the fibers are processed and how tightly the fabric is woven. Thicker, stiffer cotton can trap moisture instead of releasing it, especially indoors or during long wear. That's when cotton stops feeling fresh and starts feeling heavy, slightly damp, or sticky against the skin. Instead of breathing, it just holds on to everything. There's also the issue of surface texture. Some cotton fabrics feel soft at first touch, but become rough after a few hours of movement. Seams start to rub, collars feel restrictive, and the fabric constantly reminds you that it's there. You may not consciously notice it, but your body reacts by adjusting, fidgeting, and never fully relaxing. Cotton works best when it's light, well-finished, and designed for real daily movement. When it's not, it can quietly turn from a safe choice into a source of low-level discomfort that follows you all day. Polyester. Why it looks fine but feels wrong. Polyester often gets chosen because it's practical. It keeps its shape, doesn't wrinkle much, dries quickly, and usually looks neat even after hours of wear. On the surface, it seems like a perfect everyday fabric. But the discomfort people feel in polyester rarely shows up immediately. It builds slowly throughout the day. The main issue is how polyester handles heat and moisture. Unlike natural fibers, it doesn't absorb sweat. It traps it between the fabric and your skin. At first, this might feel neutral. But as time passes, the body has nowhere to release warmth or moisture, creating that familiar closed, stuffy feeling. You may not feel hot, yet you feel uncomfortable, slightly restless, slightly overheated, without knowing why. Polyester also creates a subtle barrier between your body and the air around you. This can make temperature changes harder to regulate. You walk outside, then indoors, then sit still, and the fabric never quite adapts. Instead of adjusting with your body, it resists it. Over long periods, this constant micro-discomfort adds up. Clothes start to feel irritating rather than supportive. That's why polyester often works for short wear or active situations. But for everyday, all-day comfort, it can quietly exhaust the body without ever looking like the problem. Viscose/rayon, soft comfort with a hidden downside. Viscose often feels like a relief when you first touch it. It's smooth, cool, and gentle, especially compared to rougher cottons or stiff synthetics. In the mirror and on the hanger, it promises comfort. Many people choose it because it drapes nicely and feels lighter on the skin, almost like it's adapting to the body. At the beginning of the day, viscose can feel genuinely pleasant. It doesn't cling immediately, it moves well, and it gives a sense of softness that's easy to trust. But the way it handles moisture and movement changes that experience over time. As the hours pass, viscose tends to absorb sweat, but struggles to release it efficiently. Instead of staying fresh, it can start to feel heavy, warm, and slightly limp. Another issue is how the fabric reacts to constant motion. Viscose fibers are delicate, and with friction, they lose structure. The fabric stretches, shifts, and stops supporting its original shape. That's when clothes begin to feel tired, as if they've aged a few years in a single afternoon. Viscose isn't a bad fabric, but it's sensitive. It works best for shorter wear or calm days. When used as an all-day, everyday material, its softness can slowly turn into a feeling of fatigue, not obvious at first, but noticeable by the time you want to take the clothes off. Wool, not just for winter and not always scratchy. Wool has a reputation that scares many people away. It's often associated with heavy sweaters, itching, and the idea that it's only meant for cold weather. But in everyday clothing, especially in finer forms, wool behaves very differently from what most people expect. Thin, well-made wool can regulate temperature better than many lighter fabrics. It responds to your body rather than trapping heat inside. When you move, it releases warmth. When you sit still, it helps retain it. That's why some people feel surprisingly comfortable in wool even indoors or across changing temperatures during the day. The discomfort usually comes from fiber thickness and processing, not wool itself. Coarser fibers press against the skin and create constant microirritation, which the body interprets as tension. Finer wool, on the other hand, feels calmer and less noticeable, almost like it adjusts to your presence rather than fighting it. Wool works best when it's thin, breathable, and worn close to the body in well-designed everyday pieces. When chosen carefully, it can feel more stable and supportive than cotton or synthetics, but when chosen poorly, it quickly becomes something your body wants to escape. Acrylic. Warmth without comfort. Acrylic is often used as a cheaper alternative to wool. It looks similar, feels light, and promises warmth without the price tag. At first glance, it seems practical, especially for everyday knitwear. But the comfort it offers is mostly visual, not physical. The main problem with acrylic is that it creates warmth without balance. It traps heat, but doesn't regulate it. Instead of adapting to your body, it builds a closed environment around it. After a while, this can feel suffocating rather than cozy, especially indoors. You're not exactly cold or hot, just uncomfortable in a way that's hard to explain. Acrylic also tends to generate static electricity and dryness. Clothes cling when they shouldn't, fabrics crackle, and the surface feels slightly artificial against the skin. Over time, this constant sensory noise keeps the body alert instead of relaxed. Even when the garment is soft to the touch, it rarely feels calm to wear. That's why acrylic often feels fine for short periods, but becomes irritating during long days. It doesn't breathe, doesn't adapt, and doesn't disappear on the body. Instead, it constantly reminds you that you're wearing it, which is the opposite of what everyday clothing should do. Linen. Breathable, but not always easy to live with. Linen is often praised as one of the most comfortable natural fabrics. It's associated with air, lightness, and that fresh feeling on the skin. And in the right conditions, it really does deliver that. Linen allows heat to escape easily and doesn't cling to the body, which is why many people love it the moment temperatures rise. But linen has a personality, and not everyone gets along with it. The fibers are naturally stiff, especially in less processed fabrics. This means linen doesn't quietly adapt to the body. It stays aware of its own structure. As you move, sit, and bend, the fabric creases, presses, and constantly shifts its shape. For some people, that movement feels relaxed and natural. For others, it feels distracting. Another issue is how linen behaves over long wear. It absorbs moisture quickly, but once it does, it can start to feel heavy or slightly rough. Instead of staying airy, it begins to remind you of every fold and seam. You may find yourself adjusting sleeves or pulling fabric away from the skin without realizing why. Linen works best when comfort means airflow and freedom, not softness. When chosen with the wrong expectations, it can feel less like effortless comfort and more like a fabric that never fully lets you forget it's there. Blended fabrics. When a little of everything feels like too much. Blended fabrics sound like a smart compromise. A bit of cotton for comfort, some polyester for durability, maybe a touch of elastane for stretch. On paper, it looks like the best of all worlds. In reality, blends are one of the main reasons everyday clothes feel confusingly uncomfortable. The issue is that different fibers behave differently, with heat, moisture, and movement. When they're combined without a clear purpose, they start pulling the experience in opposite directions. One fiber tries to breathe, another traps heat. One absorbs moisture, another pushes it back to the skin. The result is a fabric that never fully settles. This is why blended clothes often feel okay for an hour, then gradually annoying. They don't fail dramatically. Instead, they create small contradictions the body has to constantly adapt to. You might feel warm but dry, cool but slightly sticky, stretched in one place and restrictive in another. Blends work best when they're designed intentionally, not just cheaply combined. A small percentage added for a specific function can help. But when blends exist simply to cut costs or simplify production, they often end up feeling less comfortable than a well-made fabric that knows exactly what it's supposed to do. Modal/Tencel/lyocell, fabrics that almost disappear on the body. Some fabrics don't demand attention at all. You put them on, and after a few minutes, you stop thinking about your clothes entirely. Modal, Tencel, and lyocell belong to that category. Many people don't even remember their names. They just notice that certain garments feel calm, soft, and surprisingly easy to wear. These fabrics are designed to manage moisture and temperature without extremes. They absorb sweat gently, release it gradually, and stay smooth even after hours of movement. Instead of creating friction or tension, they move with the body. There's no sharp contrast between warm and cool, dry and damp. Everything feels balanced. Another reason they feel comfortable is surface stability. The fibers are fine and consistent, which reduces rubbing and pressure points. Seams feel softer, fabric doesn't cling unexpectedly, and the material keeps its shape throughout the day. Clothes made from these fibers tend to feel the same in the evening as they did in the morning. Once people get used to this kind of quiet comfort, it becomes hard to go back. These fabrics don't shout natural or technical. They simply do their job well. And that's often what everyday clothing comfort actually means.